better strap yourself in. It's time for the Howie Carr Show.
Real quickly, Laura, we know you. We know your show. You have a sharp tongue. You're known for your sharp pen.
Oh, Savannah. Sharp tongue.
You know, this is one of those jobs where you could create an international incident from the White House briefing room.
Is that what you're really worried about, an international incident? You know, I think so. Look, I think some folks who are watching now, they conservative talk show hosts. But I was a Supreme Court clerk. I worked as a white-collar litigator at Skadden Arps. I have a pretty broad career in both government as a young speechwriter in the Reagan administration. I worked at the Department of Transportation, Department of Education, and the White House in domestic policy.
Live from an undisclosed location.
He is the reason she lost the elections. So if you want one reason, that's it. Comey, he can be fat and happy in his office there for 7 more years.
Unchained and unstoppable.
I'm absolutely confident that President Trump will maintain American leadership in the alliance and will maintain a strong U.S. commitment to European security. That's important for Europe, but it's also important for the United States.
Who do you love? Howie Carr.
Our agency teams have begun to arrive at agencies in Washington, D.C. this morning. We're beginning what we're very confident will be a smooth transition that will serve to move this country forward and make America great again.
Rump swabs, hacks, and moonbats beware. It's Howie Carr.
Good afternoon, everybody. Isn't it a great day for America? It's just a wonderful time to be alive, isn't it? More great appointments today from the President-elect. Senator Jeff Sessions is going to be the next Attorney General. He's been on the Howie Carr Show many times. He's been across the table from me in D.C. when we were broadcasting from the Federation for American Immigration Reform. I think this is a happy time for the Federation of American Immigration Reform. Fair, isn't it? I do believe it is. And Representative Mike Pompeo is from Kansas, West Point, U.S. Army, Harvard Law School, Harvard Law Review chairman, like a certain other person who lives in Washington now. He's going to be the director of the CIA. Isn't it great? And, of course, the squealing of the moonbat community. They thought they were going to win. And, I have another story that makes me happy. The headline, I'm not even going to read the whole thing. It's so predictable. This is from Politico. You know, Politico, that has at least 2 reporters who email their pieces to John Podesta to get him to approve it, and then say, "Don't mention this to anybody." They're not. What Thrush is one of them, and who's the other one? Johnson,
Ken Vogel and Glenn Thrush.
Vogel and Thrush, but this is by another guy, Andrew Rastuccia. I guess they're going to have to move some new people in there after the WikiLeaks. You know, Thrush will be working on the obituary desk. The copy desk.
Something tells me having Podesta in your Rolodex isn't really worth that much these days.
No, there's going to be a lot of Rolodexes are going to be cleaned out over the next month and a half or so. White men. This is the headline from the Politico story today. White men dominate Trump's early staff selections. And then, of course, who did this? To illustrate the story, the photo is Donald Trump with his arm around Kellyanne Conway. Is she a white male? President-elect Donald Trump's first appointment, his chief of staff, chief strategist, attorney general, CIA director, and White House national security advisor. That's General Mike Flynn. All 5 are white men. Wait, weren't we told last week by somebody that if you don't have blue eyes, you're not welcome in the country? Well, if that's going to be the standard, I want to know how many of these guys have, how many of these white males have blue eyes? Because apparently, if you don't have blue eyes, then you're not really a white male, right? Anyway, So he's so that's there. That now they're after him. But of course, if he had appointed a woman or two, or a black man, or any of these other identity group politics people, they would be saying, Donald Trump appoints token to get rid. That's, I mean, again, nothing works. Nothing. He's not going to get credit for anything. Yeah, 2 days ago, he was an anti-Semite because he appointed Steve Bannon, a preposterous charge, and then the next day he wants to appoint Jared Kushner, his son-in-law, who is an Orthodox Jew. He wants to have him on the inside, maybe on the officially on the White House staff. And when he decides to appoint Kushner, then he's involved in nepotism. He's going to get hit one way or the other. It doesn't really matter. Would it, as 978 says, would it matter if they were white moonbats? No. And 857 says, that's right, pal. Anglos are back. Leave it to the liberals, says 774, to keep racial score. That's what I was reading this. I was reading this story in the first hour from the Medford transcript. Medford used to be a normal all-American type place, but Cambridge has expanded out. First it was Cambridge, then they took over Somerville. Now they've taken over Medford, and everybody's talking about this white privilege. Well, who thinks of white privilege other than as a punchline? But these moonbats apparently do. I got to get a story. There's an excellent column by a liberal, and he talks about all this identity politics that is just totally illustrated by these people saying, I feel bad for everyone that doesn't have my white privilege or my son's white privilege. I'm married to a straight white male. How could a woman says, I'm married to a straight white male? Well, if you're married to the guy, I would think he's straight, isn't he? Why do you have to put this on the Facebook page, or why on the Medford transcript Facebook page?
Have you ever thought to yourself, I have a straight white wife?
No, I don't think about this. This story, this piece from the New York Times, I got to go get it. It's from a college professor who hates Trump. And he says, if you're going to identify yourself and put yourself into all these boxes and categories, and someone, I'm a straight white male, or I'm a differently abled lesbian Jamaican illegal immigrant, you shouldn't be surprised when people in the hinterlands in flyover country start thinking of themselves as white males or white heterosexuals. I mean, if you're going to identify yourself by all these boxes, then everybody else is going to start identifying themselves by these boxes. And it didn't work out very well, did it? It certainly didn't. Meanwhile, San Antonio, Texas. A skit portraying the assassination of President-elect Donald Trump by two 10th grade students at Marshall High School has provoked anger and dismay from the parents of a student who watched it unfold last week. Harold and Melinda Bean, in relation to Judge Roy Bean, said that in the skit entitled The Assassination of Donald Trump, one of the boys made a gunfire sound effect with his cell phone as the other boy portraying Trump fell to the ground in mock death. Appropriate action was taken to reprimand both boys and their teacher, said Northside ISD spokesman. I don't know what that means. Barry Perez. The parents, however, believe more should have been done, including suspending the two students. What if they had had a skit involving the assassination of fill in the blank liberal politician? Do you think they would have? Do you think it would have been allowed to continue? Honestly, I have run out of words, said Melinda Bean, to describe how angry I am and how shocked I am that these kids are still in school today. Younger children using their hands to simulate guns on the playground have been suspended. I forgot about that. How about the people who bring in like a butter knife into class to cut up an apple or something, and they get suspended, right? And she says this was far worse. The teacher apologized Monday, Harold Bean said, but that's not enough. I don't understand how the teacher can repeat an apology and be right back there at work on Monday morning, he said. Though we understand she is apologetic, it does not make the situation right. Perez said campus officials investigated the incident and found that the teacher didn't condone it and stopped the skit. I mean, we have a 7-second delay. You know, I mean, shouldn't these teachers have what the equivalent of a 7-second delay? Kids, you're going to do a skit? What's the title of the skit? The Assassination of Donald Trump. I don't think so. Pardon my language, said Harold Bean, but I think that's all a bunch of BS if they're going to tell you the kids were stopped. So that's the latest. Can I call the hate crime hotline, Mara Healy? This isn't a fake one like the report in Malden. You know, I mean, this actually took place. What is this getting reported to anybody? Anyway, 1-844-500-4242. Margaret, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Margaret.
Hi, Howie. My Donald got in. I'm so happy.
We're all happy.
Don't you feel? I know. I was thinking about it this afternoon. Don't you have this great feeling of excitement about the country now? I can't explain it, but I'm so. It's like everything's going to be changed. It's like we were born again.
Yeah, I feel like I can breathe again, Margaret. You know, I mean, eternal vigilance is the price of liberty. But, I certainly feel a lot better about the future prospects of the country than I did on election eve, shall we say.
Yeah, and it's like, look what he's got. And he's getting his staff going, and he I don't know, he had...
But they're only white males. Margaret, they're only white males. Aren't you shocked and appalled? Don't you want to send off a letter to the? Don't you want to send off a letter to the editor of the New York Times?
No. Listen, Donald Trump knows what he's doing. He's going to pick the best of the best, and if a woman is not the right person for the job, so be it. That's how I feel.
I agree. I believe in meritocracy, Margaret. I mean, what's wrong with meritocracy? If you're the best person for the job, I mean, it doesn't matter if you have white privilege or black privilege or brown privilege or gay privilege. I mean, that's the way it should be, isn't it? Let the cream rise to the top. Thanks for the call, Margaret. This half hour of the Howie Carr Show is powered by Exchange Street Bistro in Malden. The Boston atmosphere with neighborhood pricing, homemade bacon, and over 100 different types of martinis. Plus, there's free parking at the Exchange Street Bistro right across the street in the municipal parking garage. The Exchange Street Bistro. It's a great place. 1-844-500-4242. I'm Howie Carr.
That's right, Howie Carr.